Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome to another video. We're going back into the Fighting Legend Vegeta event. We're bringing this time the EZA Strength Trunks. I've pretty much put him on the exact same team that the Fizz one was on, just because they're pretty much identical in terms of units. The only difference is, I think one of them gets the 200% attack and defense from, or like after 2 turns. I'm actually going to check that right now because I can't actually remember. So let me get him up on the wiki, but I think this is the format I'm going to do from now on. Whenever we do like a side kind of unit, taking them into like Vegeta event and Goku event, just because it saves a lot of time. And obviously, you know, the main videos you want to see this type of stuff on is, you know, Dokkan Fest, LRs, etc. So I think from now on, like side EZAs like this and side units, or maybe just like the general pool units, if we do decide to take them into harder events, then or more so Goku and Vegeta event, I think I'm going to do it like this, where I just cut up their rotations and just kind of have like a highlight reel for them. So this Trunks does raise attack and defense on Super as well by 30%. He also greatly lowers defense, which is something we're not going to be seeing here. Can only really take advantage of that within, well, no, there's a few stages you can take advantage of the lowering of defense, but more so, you know, SBR and ESBR. So R3 super attacks, so slot 2, slot 3 is going to be ideal for him here, is when he was be able to like tank at his best. He did consistently sit on, I think before supering, just shy of like 130k defense, which is actually not bad considering this is kind of like a side EZA. This is a general pool unit of an EZA. It's not as high as the other Trunks. The other one's more defensive, this one's more attacking. But for the caliber of unit it is, defense is actually not bad starting point, especially after you raise your attack and defense by 30% when supering. Slot 2, slot 3, he actually tanks pretty well after supering. With the 100 and, you know, just shy of 130k defense, and then supering and then raising attack and defense by 30%, he actually tanks for double digits on basic attacks, which is actually really nice. On his passive, yeah, he gets attack and defense plus 100%, plus an additional key plus 2 up to 4, and attack and defense plus 50% up to 100% at the start of each turn. So yeah, pretty much after 2 turns, you've got the attack and defense plus 200%, just like the Fizz Trunks. You just don't get it immediately. The other thing that is also quite nice, which is probably why he was tanking really well in the beginning, but I mean, it's only the first 10 turns, which, you know, you're not deep enough into the Vegeta event for it to really be noticeable, but he does get an additional defense plus 100% for 10 turns from the start of turn, which is another reason why he's probably tanking so well. But I mean, he would have tanked well anyway, considering how good he tanks after 10 turns without the extra 100% on the defense. So that's something we're going to have to kind of pay more attention to, or pay more mind to, in SBR and ESBR. And then stunning he can't do. Other than that, he's pretty much identical to the Fizz one, but it has better damage output. And they also link exactly the same too as well. Hence why I had him on rotation for the majority of the event with the Tech Super Saiyan Trunks, this one that stacks. But yeah, he done quite well. Definitely not as good in a longer event like this, like the Fizz one, because the Fizz one, as I said, has about 200k, or just shy of 200k defense consistently, I think, before supering. So that one is better suited here. Also has a slight advantage in the fact that, of course, SSB Vegeta isn't an AGL type, where this Trunks has type disadvantage. So like a lot of units in the game, we kind of had to be a bit wary. You know, luckily you're conserving items in this event anyway. So whenever he came around on rotation in the final phase, we were kind of good for items to kind of back him up and like kind of give him that coverage. So there wasn't too much to worry about. Other than that, he done well. As I said, in a longer event like this, being the less defensive, you know, out of the 2 Super Trunks EZAs, definitely a little bit more risky to run here. I don't think he would be able to take on GT Goku event. Like not even in like, I don't think it would even be worth the attempt. I don't think he'll be able to hand a GT Goku event. The GT Goku event does too much more damage, especially near the end. And obviously the Great 8 phase compared to the Vegeta event. He doesn't have type disadvantage in the final phase like the Vegeta event does, but yeah, the GT Goku event does quite a bit of damage, so I don't think he could handle the GT Goku event. Maybe if the run, you know, maybe if you got really lucky outside of that, and even then that's a maybe. Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to handle GT Goku event. I think Vegeta event, and obviously because he can handle the Vegeta event, he'll be able to handle the original Goku event. So if you still need to do those or any missions in the future or you're currently now that this Trunks could fit on a team to complete, he is definitely a suitable option. Obviously, you do have to kind of be wary and careful with your item management when it does come to the final phase of the Vegeta event because of that type disadvantage. But you know, before that, decent damage output is without Trunks, to be fair, without Trunks on rotation, once he supered once, and then you keep supering after raising your attack and defense for the turn, or is it 2-3 turns? I can't remember. I've already just looked here and I've already closed it. He's kind of good to go. Without Trunks, he puts out, you know, because they share similar links apart from Soul versus Soul, which is kind of an unneeded link anyway. It's quite useless. He's putting out like 2.3 million attack stat, which is actually quite nice again for the caliber of unit. Once you've supered and you're on rotation with the tech Trunks that I had him with, I think he's on like 2.5 million, which is actually really good. Again, for the caliber of unit, that is incredibly respectable. So yeah, this one is more of the offensive unit, whereas the Fizz one's more defensive, which does kind of give an advantage to the Fizz one. I've already held my hands up in that video and said I was probably a little bit too harsh on the Fizz one. It's just because disabling, they both have disabling guard, but having disabling guard and weakening regeneration in a passive, it's just not the best. Considering this one can stun, which again isn't even valid here because he can't stun here, but it's just like disabling guard and having weakened like regeneration just is so useless. Like, at least give him seal. I know it's not the best thing to have, but it could have been like an opposite to this Trunks, or I don't know, guard or something, just to make him a bit more useful. But other than that, he was pretty good. As I said, I've already held my hands up to that and, you know, got that one wrong. But yeah, aside from the fact this Trunks is a little bit weaker defensively compared to the Fizz EZA Super Trunks and has type disadvantage in the final phase, he held his own well. He held his own well. In this event specifically, yes. But, you know, in terms of attempting, you know, the GT Goku event with him, yeah, I don't think he'll quite cut it, especially with, you know, the lack of defense he has for an event like that, considering how much damage some of the phases in the Goku event can do, especially the Great Ape phase. Not even the final two. The Great Ape phase does so much damage. So, yeah, I don't think the GT Goku event would be for him. I might attempt it, I might not, but yeah, I don't think the Strength Trunks will be able to handle that. The Fizz one, potentially. You definitely have to be careful with him on the Great Ape stage. But yeah, no, I definitely don't think he could handle GT Goku event. But as I said, decent damage output for an event like this. You know, he's not hitting like 2-3 million, you know, actual raw damage on Vegeta at all times. But having a 2.3 to 2.5 million attack stat consistently, and doing a decent, you know, just over a mil, you know, it's quite decent. As I said, it is definitely respectable. As I said, the defense early on means he's tanking for double digits. After he supers with like 100, just shy of 130k defense at all times as well, he's able to tank for double digits on the majority of the phases you're going to be going through. Apart from the, actually no, I think he might have actually tanked. Oh no, I had a Whis active, I think, so that doesn't actually count. But at least with a Whis active, funny enough, I think it's actually here with a Whis active. After he supers, he does take double digits on a basic, but granted there is a Whis active, but it's still nice he takes double digits. Also here, I was thinking the run is done. The run is done. We're getting hit with a super. With a Whis active, and after supering, he managed to survive. We had just over 400k total health. He managed to tank 360k of that. So at least he can handle a super with an item active, like, because you'd use an item with a type disadvantage unit anyway, unless they've been stacking their defense for the entire time. But he managed to tank a super attack for 380k, which I can't lie. In terms of how much damage you take on a super, obviously not the best. The caliber of unit he is with a Whis active, some units will still die to that. So I had to say, fair play, that's actually not bad. So, you know, as I said, as long as you're careful with him in this final phase, he can handle the Vegeta event. As I said, I was quite impressed. I am going to, again, hold my hands up, because I'm going to say this right now. In terms of longer events, obviously the Fizz one is more suited. So I'm obviously, in terms of, like, longer events on the Vegeta event, I am more impressed with the Fizz one, because he has more defense. But this Trunks is still pretty good. Obviously, SPR and ESPR is probably where he's going to have his moment to shine, especially because he can stun, and that defense plus 100% is probably going to become more apparent. than here, considering you're going to be in this event longer than SBR and ESBR. But the EZAs are quite nice. The EZAs are quite nice. For a longer event like this, the strength one is respectable and definitely usable if you are lacking some options on some of the teams he goes on. The Fizz one, definitely the better option for a longer event. And then I'll probably say the same thing, you know, vice versa. When it comes to SBR, ESBR, the strength one will probably be a better option than the Fizz one. But they are definitely both respectable options to use in the harder events in the game. Just one problem with this one is I don't think he'll be able to handle the GT Goku event. But other than that, respectable EZAs, decent damage output, decent-ish defense. The other one a hell of a lot better, but let me know what you think of them down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. This is going to be the format and side banner units or side units going forward. I'll see you in the next video, guys, and peace.